Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Storm, and today we're going to actually work out on the property a little bit, continue to prep for the fall, and maybe make some progress on getting the pigs moved to their next area. I haven't quite decided if they're moving today or moving next week, but we're going to go ahead and go down and take a look and start doing some prep work. What's up, Lucille? She's growing up so quick. She's hopefully going to get groomed here soon. I'm waiting on a call back from our groomer. She needs it. Hey, pig. What are you doing, buddy? So, a couple things that need to happen is I'm taking a look at the area they're in to see if I want them to continue grazing this down and stripping it. In addition, last week I got a little bit of bush hogging done, but there's some more around the pond that needs to be kind of cleaned up. Ideally, I'd like to get this area cleaned up because we want to have a bonfire here like we did last year. But that needs to be cleaned up first. What's up, Henry? I'll tell you something that I've definitely learned that holds true in a lot of other areas as well is there's way more planning that should be done than people tend to think about when trying to run a small farm or small homestead. And I spend far more time thinking about what I'm going to do here than actually doing things here, which is that in and of itself can be a little stressful at times. So a couple of things that I'm actually considering when I'm looking back here at what the pigs have been doing and what they still have access to is what kind of condition do I want them to leave it in. And so when they're out on the actual pasture out this way, I don't leave them in one area more than about a week. And the reason for that is those areas were smaller, it's all grass, and so they go through it pretty quickly, and then they'll start to root a little bit. And even though they're, well, these guys are, you know, mixed breeds, except old Henry. He's about as close to pure as I think you can get without being registered, as far as I know and can tell. But anyways, the rest of them in there with him are definitely mixed breeds with Giuliani, and they root a lot more, like noticeably more. Back in the woods here, this is heavily overgrown, and the pigs have done a phenomenal job so far at underbrushing. And so they've already gone through, you know, we probably have close to 2 acres worth of woods, so not a whole lot, but what we did have was very overgrown, a lot of just undergrowth and junk. And so they've gone through about 2/3 of it already, including the area they're in now. And then all we've got left is, let's see, a little section back here, which they'll only be able to stay in there for maybe 2 weeks because it's just not a very big area. But this area, I want them to eat it down real low and knock out a lot of the weeds and briars, and they've been eating all the poison oak, which is great because I keep getting it. So the sooner it goes away, the better. But I also want to provide more light to the underneath. And so I think I've mentioned it before, but there's a concept that I'm attempting to implement out here, which is called a silvopasture. And since I already have the trees and I want to continue to maintain the trees in the shade, but I do want to let light get down underneath the canopy here. And that's what I'm working with these guys on. So we're going to walk through and take a look real quick and see what we got. also something to note. If you've got pigs and any kind of trash on your property, they will find it and they will dig it up. I almost forgot something. Sometime in the last couple of days, based on my notes, was Henry's birthday. Hey Henry. Henry. You gonna ignore me, bud? Henry. Happy birthday, pig. Happy birthday, bug dog. Happy birthday, big boy. Happy birthday. Based on my notes, Henry should have turned 2 sometime at the end of September. Alright, so the conclusion I've come to with the pigs today with their current area is they've definitely dug it up enough to make me happy. I can maybe squeeze a week more out of it, but they're reasonably close to being ready to move. So we're gonna go ahead and prepare for that. The other thing that I've got to consider is the piglets are 6 weeks old today. And so it's time to start looking at weaning those guys. And so we've got to figure out what we're going to do. All right, so we're going to actually prep this area from here down to the barn. And I don't have enough of the posts without taking down their current fence. So I'm probably just going to stake out the corners, if you will. And then if we decide to move them today, we'll pick up their fence and start moving it. Otherwise, we'll come back to that. Alright, so after putting out the posts that I did have available to me, I spent some time down here kind of, well, thinking, as I said earlier, figuring out what I want to do with the mama and her babies. And best I can tell with where they're currently situated, I have two things that I really need to work on. One is obviously separating Molly from the piglets. One of the biggest challenges with that is at this size with the piglets, the 2 strands at the bottom is really more of a suggestion for them, because if you spook them, they'll move through it so quickly that it doesn't even pop them. And then second, I don't have a good spot already set up for that, and so I've got to build something or come up with another idea for trying to keep the wires closer together to keep them actually separated. And it may just end up having to be a solid visual separation, but I need to do a little more digging and research because I've never weaned piglets before. The second issue that I have is, as you can see, I have this kind of chute back here at the back. Let's see, right there, and that goes and feeds through the fence into my back pasture. And I've rotated around a couple of areas back there. I haven't filmed a lot of that because I was kind of on hiatus, if you will. But because of that, that lane cuts across some areas, and I need to move them around. And in order to do that, I'm gonna have to actually pick that fence up, come through with the bush hog to clear what will be a temporary fence row, and then put the fence back up. So that project, I'm gonna kick the can down the road to another day, probably next weekend. If I can recruit a little help, I'll get done with it faster. And then as far as, well, the current area where the pigs are, I think that's probably going to happen next weekend as well. So I'm going to see if I can't get me some help to knock that out a little quicker, because the scope of the 2 areas that I'm working on, it amounts to like 2 acres, and I need to pick up my fence, pick up the fence posts, move and install them, and then corral the pigs back in. So it's doable, but it just takes a lot more time, and I'd like to go and spend the weekend kind of catching my breath, because as I've stated before, my day job work has been especially busier than it's been in the last 1.5 years. So not a complaint, but just a reality of trying to balance a small homestead and a full-time job. All right, so my battery is starting to get a little low, but I wanted to give you one last thing that I'm going to try and get done today, so that when I do move the pigs, everything's a little bit easier. So I want to try to get some bush hogging done. This is one side area of where the pigs are going, and I need to get this kind of taller brush cut back a little bit so I can put my fence through here. And I want to make sure that I still have a lane to be able to bring the gator up between my perimeter fence and the electric fence for the pigs. So I'm going to bring the bush hog through here and kind of knock some of this down. And then last but not least, I'm going to try to knock down some of that area around the pond. So I'm going to hop on the tractor and do a little work. I'll film what I can, and well, my battery's going to die soon, so you'll see what you see. Either way, thanks for watching. You guys have a good day, and see you next time.